Radio astronomers discover a mysterious signal in the deep sea that could be contact with extraterrestrials. After several terrifying manifestations threaten their belief, the team must fight to survive an ultimate evil. This is my review for the movie Immanence. Let's get into it. So the movie Immanence has just dropped and I thought I'd give it a watch. It is a sort of horror thriller style film that runs at a brisk 92 minutes. The film is directed and partly written by Kerry Bellessa, or Bellessa, I should say, sorry. I have no idea who she is or what she has done before. Nothing of great significance. The film does star Michael Beach, who plays Jonah, if there's a religious name ever, there you go. Now, Michael Beach was in Aquaman, and he has also starred in the TV series SWAT and The Rookie. Yes, and Summer Bellessa stars as a character named Naomi. Nothing like nepotism, is there? Anyway, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you a run through of the plot of the film in a bit more detail. I'm going to throw up a spoiler warning just here. When this spoiler warning disappears, I'm talking about the film in general, and that part of it won't spoil the film for you. So if you want to skip forward till this has gone, feel free to do so. Starting now. So this film opens and we're introduced to the character of Jonah. He is at a exorcism, and as the priest is performing the exorcism, he pulls a gun onto the supposed person who is possessed, switching the person out from being possessed to normal, thusly proving that the guy is faking it all along. We are then introduced to the character of Naomi, who is staying with her mother, and her mother is questioning her belief in the Lord and all this, because her mother is heavily religious. While this is going on, a shooting star has shot over the horizon and people have seen it, and the speed that it's travelling at and all this sort of stuff has got scientists excited, and SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, getting this team together of individuals to go out to the crash site, which is in the ocean, and to investigate this this whatever's come down, because they believe that it might be extraterrestrial life, because the speed at which this thing was travelling, it come round the sun, it took 2 days to reach us, Earth, from the sun, which is faster than anything that travels within Earth's galaxy. So Jonah is on this expedition. He's essentially the captain of the ship. He isn't the owner of the ship, but he's the captain of the ship that they go on. And you've got a small group of scientists, numbering about 6, all included, with the owner of the ship and Jonah as the ship's captain. Now, obviously, so you've got scientists and you've got religious zealots, so to speak, in Jonah, and then you've got the character of Naomi, who is a scientist, but at the same time she's questioning her faith, and thusly the film plays out in such a way that you have certain individuals questioning the scientific factors of it and others questioning the religious factors of it, because they see it as a religious occurrence. You know, Satan, Lucifer, fell to earth as a shooting star, and you know, there's all this stuff in the Bible about the deep being that of the devil, you know, because it's the depths of the earth and all this sort of stuff. And so they get to the place where this thing has crashed into the ocean, and strange goings on start to occur. Now, they are in the Bermuda Triangle at this point, so you have that come into play as well. So you're questioning what's going on, whether it's really scientific goings on, or if, you know, religion's coming into play and it's to do with the Bible and all this sort of stuff. Strange phenomena start occurring. They see another boat that becomes their boat and they're witnessing. They go on board and they see that stuff that has happened in the future of their timelines, like a couple of hours in the future, and all this sort of stuff, and all this strange stuff that can't be explained. The movie does culminate with essentially the devil popping up and killing a couple of people, and these deaths have been witnessed on board the other vessel, and these characters die in the way that you've seen them over there, but without the devil's input at this point. But although he's almost like he's an invisible source, it's an invisible killer to them over there. So it questions all this stuff. So it's quite a strange film in this sort of thing, and that's the basic rundown of the story. And at the end, the devil does kill a couple of people, but then he leaves 4 alive, but they know that only 2 are going to get off this boat alive. So the question is, who are the 2 that gets off? And then all this stuff happens. Yeah, so the film plays out like that. Now, this film hasn't received very good reviews anywhere. As far as I can see, it scores about a 4 out of 10 on most review lists. But at 92 minutes, it doesn't overstay its welcome. Now, I was intrigued enough by the plot to watch this film. I don't really go into this type of film, but the fact that you've got themes of religion and science bouncing off of one another, and the arguments that these 2 get into, how science disproves religion, and it was intriguing enough. And the stuff that the characters go through within the film was enough to keep me watching. Now, a lot of the characters there, they haven't got much in the way of characterisation, they haven't got much in the way of character growth. You've got one girl who likes listening to noises of the things out there make, and she's dancing to it, and when she's listening intently, she's got one of them squeegee balls, them stress balls, and that's about as far as her characterisation goes. There's another character, this other girl, her characterisation is less than that. So the characters don't really have much characterisation beyond we are young scientists, or I'm an older scientist, and do you know what I mean? So you don't get a lot of that. Now, the film is shot, as in like the lighting and all that is mood setting. It works for the film. The amount of darkness and the light and this light through the smoke and this sort of thing is fine. It's that's all mood setting. There's times when I'm taken out of the film by the fact that I don't feel they're on a boat, that I feel the boat is in dry dock and the camera's just pointing up, because you get none of this. I mean, the sea is calm for the time throughout the film, but there's nothing that suggests this ship is swaying or anything like this. There's nothing like that. It's just stagnant, it's still. So there is a point towards about 15 minutes from the end of the film where my interest waned a bit when the truth of what's going on comes out. For me, horror films like this very rarely land properly. They disappoint in that, ultimately in the answers as to what's going on. But then when that sort of answer disappeared and you're left with the characters to play out what was to be played out, the intrigue came back, and because you were left with questions as to what happens with who and how and all this sort of a thing. Now, the film's very ending is left with a bit of ambiguity in as to what happens, as to why it happened like this and this sort of a thing. I'll be honest, I didn't totally understand the ending. It's one of them ones that I'd have to watch things on what the ending means. That's just me, but there you go. Now, I found that the soundtrack for the film, the score for the film, was in certain elements, in certain parts, was pretty damn good, actually, to be honest, for the sort of film that it is. And it was a noticeable score, nothing that you'd obviously go and listen to, but it worked well for the film at play. So that was pretty good. So yeah, all in all, I enjoyed the film. It's not a film I'd ever consider wanting to re-watch or anything like that. I felt that some of the performances were okay from your main leads, but a couple of the other characters, there are questionable moments in the acting that isn't thoroughly great. as directing goes, it's, you know, there are some shots which are very well directed. I don't know if that's down to the cinematographer or to the director in the way that it looks, but there are elements of the directing that's pretty flat within the film. So again, it's a film that intrigued me enough to watch. If it was any longer than what it was, it would have overstayed its welcome, but for what it was fine. The concept was fine. The themes of religion versus science were intriguing enough, and yeah. So all in all, an okay film. If anyone said, should I watch it, I'd say to them, yeah. I mean, you know, unless a film was particularly bad, particularly poor and abysmal, I wouldn't ever tell someone not to watch a film. I'd say, look, you've got to make your own mind up. Art is subjective, film is subjective. Yeah, and for me, this film, I had a good enough time with it that that the time flew by. Okay, now for a little bit of trivia about the film. Okay, first bit of trivia. Michael Beach and co-star Anthony Reviver co-starred as FDNY paramedics in the TV series Third Watch. Second up, as Jonah pulls the fish cage up out of the ocean and cuts up one of the fish, there are no intestines within, suggesting that these fish actually came from a supermarket or a fishmonger. And also during the exorcism scene, the guy performing the exorcist is just reciting the Lord's Prayer. Now, if exorcisms are real and you recite the Lord's Prayer, it's the equivalent of giving aspirin to someone with stage 4 cancer. Yeah, so it wouldn't do very much at all. That's it for trivia. Anyway, so that was it. That was my review for this film. Now, have you seen this film, or are you considering watching this film? If you have, or if you are, then let me know down in the comments down below. What do you think of it? What do you make of the very ending? You'll know what I mean. Come and tell me. I'm guessing not many people will have watched this film. Also, while you're there, why don't you hit the notification bell so you can keep apprised of all my upcoming content. But before that, hit that subscribe button. Yeah, that subscribe button, the all-important subscribe button. Come over, join me in this journey. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care all, and goodbye.